we have Team UK on 4. Then we have Team France on 3. Then we have Team China on 2. Brazil on 1. So the bands are Squirtle band on the side of Kilaganon and the Skellige Self-Wound band on the side of Violet Hirama. Running the early aristocrats out. So interested to see how that quad Joachim turns out. Will the draws be there? There's the early Gothic Evade, there's the Joachim in hand, missing the coup and the counter to get that combo through. On the other side of things, the Jackpot does manage to find the Madame Marquis Serenity for Kilaganon, but the Slice Doctress, that's a break. Gotta send that back into the deck. Gotta be pretty happy with the Sewer Raiders on that final draw. You love to see that in the round 1. Helps if you're trying to get kind of that tempo pass or just contest a little bit further. And surprise, surprise, it's Madame Tribute turn 1 on the blue coin. I think you've all seen this before. Flying Redanian out to say hello. Quite a friendly ghost ship. That's already a potential sort of 3 points per turn here for Kilaganon. Quite scary to play into. And with no other pikemen, it's going to be quite difficult for our Violet to try to keep up engine-wise in this round. Yeah, you have a Dame in hand, but there's not much great sort of status givers to double up alongside that. So you go for a lock here to shut down the Madame Marquis Serenity, stop the profit for each card play. But there's still 2 more engines that are on the board currently. Note the Kilaganon does have the Purifying the form of this Salamander Lucky, but with the huge sort of gap in points right now, I don't know if you want to commit it or save that for later on, maybe to try to deny a poison or something. Hey, Fiddler. Yeah, that's a fair opinion that you guys came to just stream. Yeah, so I doubt we'll see a tempo pass, because Aristocrats isn't really the kind of deck that you want to go into a long round 3 against, I would expect. I could be wrong though. Because perhaps if you heatwave the ball, you're able to deal with the Danes, potentially poisons. You might be fine just taking them in a long round. Because it will be hard to catch up here. There are these engines ticking. Okay, there's 1 poison on the soul, but there's not even a follow-up in hand. So this might just be one on even as a result, a win on even from blue coin. I don't know what you'd have to commit. Okay. To secure the poison, it has to be the Philippe, but this also means the Odd Fiend is coming out quite early in the game here, and in a situation where it's going to be quite rough to bleed in the round 2, because you'll be going up minimum 2 cards down, depending on how you're able to actually catch up right now. Not great top decks for the Odd Fiend. You'd have loved to actually play this earlier on in the round, maybe over the turncoat. You see the Dame. Soul can get finished off by the Philippe. Still a little bit down. Does manage to find an agent which actually has some synergy with the Odd Fiend, unlike the Arbor Pikeman. So what will we be giving Spine to? I really don't know. Like, if depending on if Killiganon's board is different, you could maybe give Spying on something good to set up the coup. But, I mean, Madam isn't a good coup target, despite costing, you know, 14 provisions. It relies on you having workers at the Passiflora currently residing in your deck. And, yeah, Violet does not have that. Yes, Manu, this is France vs Brazil. No, not France vs Brazil. This is France vs China. France vs Brazil was in a previous week. Yeah, my title is correct. Yes. Yeah, so Killiganon is on the side of France, Violet on the side of China. And yeah, to catch up, we do actually see the imposter leader as well as what gold is it? It will just be the coup onto the Madame. I guess it gives some profit, but yeah, I don't think it's... Okay, actually no. The profit lets the passy peaches tick, not that it matters. Really, the aristocrat leader was the points that was... Yeah. Smokers of Passiflora, I think, is the politically correct way to say it. I've said some less polite ways on some previous casts, I think. Okay, this is actually interesting. So you see the second mulligan not being used on the King of Beggars. It looks like Kilcannon is quite confident that it will just be a dry pass coming out from Violet Kiriman, saying there's no way you're going to bleed me 3 cards down, that would be suicidal. And that does happen. And the reason you want to keep the King of Beggars in hand is because then you know you're not going to draw into it on your final mulligan in that round 3. Because that is like the worst thing that can happen to a deck running King of Beggars. Keeping it in the round 2 means you're safe from that worst case scenario in the future. So I was a bit curious about the Tempo Pass, because like, you don't really want to give round control to the aristocrats, but you did see in that round 1 what got committed. Well, it was the leader, the Philippe, the Odd Fiend, because the Philippe was played, and also 1 Dame. There's only 2 Dames remaining. One from the Masquerade Ball, and the other finally being drawn. Freak Show is in hand for Legonons, so that should be able to answer one of the Dames. Poisons are also here to answer another. And depending on how this progresses, if Violet tries to just play some engines onto the board early, this brawler could be very scary and just shutting down any early attempts engineering. And okay, we see the Mage Infiltrator being drawn, being mulliganed, finds a Van himself. Not terrible, but maybe not the best. Probably really hoping that the Amir might have been found. This is just an Eventide Plunder. I feel like Brawler's the obvious choice here. Brawlers are just very, very good. Might force an early Joachim, which can be a little bit awkward. And yeah, you saw that Violet had to spend a lot in the round 1, but having that long time to play into that round 2 for Kilaganon meant you could secure the Nilfgaard and the Candle to have resilience there already on board for the round 3. That'll help with coin generation, having a bronze game unit to just do whatever you want, and Candle gives you a little bit of spending that isn't vulnerable to being locked directly. Although what you boost can end up getting poisoned, I suppose.
Don't blame me.
Early Lackey, so yeah, just aiming to sort of try to shut down the board. Also getting rid of that lock is quite important, because it means that there's some Van Morhem servant won't have access to copying that lock. And if we look into the deck here, there's no more ways to give locks. I don't think it's possible with a Philippe Lawn for anything more to get locked by Violet here. Yeah, to play around the Brawler is this early Joachim, does find a poison onto the Venom Brawler, and the thing is, because Joachim is guaranteed to play non-disloyal units, there's only 5 possibilities, so might be able to find this Emir anyways, despite missing it as of right now. You'd love to find the Emir, because then that frees up your Roderick to just be used on the Cantarella to help you get that, well, I guess in this case, only a triple Joachim in this round. Non-disloyal? Yeah, so unfortunately, if you're not making use of the Echo on the coup, you're not going to get the quad Joachim, only a triple, but triple Joachim is still good, right? Right? Yeah. It is, again, vulnerable to poisons, and that's what Kilgannon decides to do. The nice thing about the poison here is you're not really developing your own board, which is good because it doesn't give great targets for Violet to give statuses to. But again, like, there's really not many poisons, there's not many locks, or no locks. Poison can come from Van Morhem 7, I suppose, but yeah, there's not many options to decorate. Or in the hand, I mean. What do you do? Is this the chance for you to just set up your aim or pikeman? Well, I don't think so, because if the poison goes through, you just spend on the Brawler, and there goes the entire board. So you go for the second Joachim here, and you find a aristocrat.
That's the right
It's
shout.
a decent engine, but without the odd fiend, you don't have many ways to consistently give spying. So, actually, no. Okay, you have maybe Cantarella and Roderick to get spying, but that's really not amazing. Hey, Adam. Don't mean to be so distracting. Now you're distracting me. But good to see you, Adam. Heatwave, yeah, that's quite nice. So the second toll unit from the Joachim falls to the toll punish in the form of the Heatwave, and that does open up the Brawler to spend, since there's only one engine remaining on the board, you know, 4 coins to kill a Pikeman. I think that's a pretty good deal. Yeah, maybe Pikemen should stay away from Tavern Brawls. Can't stand up to the Barnacle Brawler, despite having all that armor. Actually, I mean, other Pikeman doesn't actually have armor despite the art having armor. So maybe that doesn't work so well. Okay. 5 cards into the round. Will this 5th card actually stick for Violet? Probably, because it's just a Viper Witcher. Not a very important card. And it does allow the Gothic Evade to set up the Roderick into Cantor, into Joachim. Like, the sad thing for that is you're putting 5 points onto the opponent's side of the board to only boost one of your units by 8. I'm not convinced that's such a super good trade. Nilfgaard being clicked? Could get yet another Brawler? I don't know what these rolls are. Maybe took a trip to the casino as well as the tavern. A lot of luck going in their favour. Instead it will be a non-devotion mutant maker. But that's fine, because Redanian works very nicely if you need to destroy an allied unit. And yeah, very quickly comes back anyways, with that Nilfgaard being on board. Okay. Violet has 1 point right now, up against a full coin purse, leader, and a 27 point gap right now. Oh, did I mention there's a candle in Nilfgaard, by the way? Okay. So with the Heatwave being used, that does mean the ball will be able to stick, so the 2 fangs will get created. But the problem is with no toll unit, it means the Dane does just die immediately, which is not really what you wanted. I don't know if you even go for the Cantarella here. It might be better to just go Roderick into the Emir to get a 1-turn poison. Maybe you set up a secondary poison along with your servant. The sequencing is awkward here, right? Because you want to play the Dame early, right? You need the Rosa to have time to get its order through. You need the servant to, I would say, have time to copy a poison. Yeah, I don't know.
I shall be your eyes, my lord.
And yeah, I don't think you wanted an obtuse aristocrat. At least it has decent deploys, because there's a lot of spies on the Kerrigan side of the board. That's the good thing about spamming your Joachims like this. But what are you gonna poison? Okay, an H&A, sure. Is this gonna be a Dame finisher? Because I don't know how you get value out of this servant otherwise. You need the 2 poisons on board to use the servant to secure a poison. Yeah. I'm not sure what you guys are saying should have been deleted. Hopefully if it was bad it was deleted. I don't know.
The semblance of power don't interest me.
And just to add insult to injury, just gonna remove another unit because Shady Vendor is able to find the payday. Yeah, it pays quite well there, getting rid of the Fangs of the Empire. There's lone seditious aristocrats trying to stand against the whole might of Nilfgaard and a few Nilfgaardian defectors. This is just rough. And as if this wasn't bad enough already, there's a huge Captain Yago finisher. Yeah. Okay. Removing the Dane.
House here.
Yeah, these aren't even amazing rolls on the Rosa. By yourself, because I believe it was a power nerf in the last Balance Council, they kind of all mixed together. I think Rose did get hit recently. Because you spawned a 4 power unit, I guess it's kind of one less because as buying it works with this aristocrat. Let's generously call the Rosa 3 points right now. The good thing is you were able to clog the front row. It's just absolutely chockers right now. No space for a feature to finish off the Rosa. Guarantees that there will be the space, or the ability to actually, get the kill with the Rose and then play something. Okay, I lied. You don't need the second crew. Get the quad Joachim, just use your Rosa instead. Finally finds the Emir. This might help with that sequencing I was mentioning. Maybe not really, because the servant's still looking pretty useless. Yeah, you can't follow up this poison. You can use the Emir to seize some spying units, I guess. The Joachim is set up nicely to give the Mage Infiltrator a killing target. But, yeah. It'll be closer than I expected it to be, I think, with that high roll getting the Emir. But I don't see it being very great. And yeah, with the front row being full right now, you're not really able to get a kill with the Mage Infiltrator. It can't retreat back to your side of the board. So only playing for that 5 points right now. It does have the spying status, which works nice with your... Looks like it is Yargo time. A little bit of brawling. Surprised we didn't see more candle spending there. This candle is a more efficient spender than anything else on the board right now. But maybe there would have just been enough points anyways, it wouldn't have made a difference on the candle. And yeah, regardless. Probably even without the Yargo there, Killiganon had just had way too many points because that servant was not the finisher that you want there for Violet. With that, Killiganon takes game 1 and France in the driver's seat to continue. Killiganon, it will be the self-wound. Now this is going to be a bit interesting because whilst there is point slam in spades, on the side of Shieldwall, you don't have a lot of control. Don't really have Toll Punish. You have 2 locks. But there is a Pella on the side of the self-wound here as well. Not found yet, but that can help deal with a lock. Yeah, going to be very difficult to actually deal with all the threats that the self-wound is putting out. And yeah, Svalbard, I think Svalbard is going to do a pretty good job at popping shields.
Knights get princesses and we get what? Bloody streakers! Retrieve the bolt, I know.
Early Griffin Witcher has the Veil from the Crystal Skull. That means it'll be quite scary once it's able to get its Adrenaline 3 condition through. As you can see, it'll just start dealing 3 damage randomly at the end of each turn. Try to lock itself, but you can't lock yourself if you have Veil. But you know what it's not very good against? It's not very good at hunting down a Drakkar. That armor, you don't really want to ping that down. If anything, it helps your opponent more than it helps. Instead, just not even gonna click the Griffin Witcher right now on the side of Violet. Play out your Adept. And along with that, target practice? I never see that card. I think it's target practice. You get another Witcher student, turn it into an Adept. And yeah, ends up being sort of a 9-point target practice, which is not too bad at all. Maxi is something that you don't mind damaging. Pay attention to that. I think the deck had a few golds near the top. What is this? Okay, Selective Mutation. Not opting to find the Dandelion, just going for the second Griffin Witcher. quite interesting. Selective mutation, of course, very, very nice if you do have this adept on the board. But again, Griffin Witches, they're alright here. Maybe didn't want the Dandelion because wanted to save the leaders for later on. I would have thought trying to get the early carryover through would have been a decent play. And again, might have been expecting an earlier pass from Killigan, not hard coming into the round, which the very opposite happens here. The Canute coming down, used on that Drakkar to kill off the Veiled Griffin Witcher. That's a lot of the engine potential cut off early there for Violet. On the other side of things, this is where it starts to get a little bit more difficult. There is this Geralt Quinn. Probably want to save it as it is one of your strong plays and guarantees consistency with finding like your Keldar or even maybe your second adept if you have the card on board, or even Berengar. A lot of great options the Quinn can pull you, so you probably want to save that for later. Mortals, it's a very strong potential engine, especially against Self-Wound, because the shield would auto-ping against Svalbard and regenerate, and that's quite nice.
What's that? Never seen a lass wield a blade before.
Instead, just goes to play the Damned Sorceress. There are a lot of shields you can pop, and if you want, you could play out the Immortals for a few additions. But the Terracrude Plunderer is setting up this Canute with the Berserk. Does force out the Decree into Unicorn to pull out this Kyrenex for the 6 damage onto the Canute. Takes down the grizzled old warrior. No stand for the mystical powers of the Unicorn duo. And yeah, that just gives us a huge point gap, and I don't think Killigan will be able to catch up. I'll be expecting the pass, but yeah, decent amount secured. Gotta be happy to have the Unicorn combo gone. But to be fair, on the rest of it, it was really just bronzes that got played. So on the side of Shieldwall, I probably wouldn't mind that much to have Canute gone into the graveyard, and realistically all you had to spend was the Unicorn Kyrenex and you get your round control as well. That gives you the option to bleed, because if you don't have direct answers to scary things, your next best choice is to try to bleed them out so the opponent can't get their combo together, can't secure all their pieces. The best way to break up a carefully crafted sculpture is just to break it into little bits. Because those little bits, they're not doing a whole lot. You actually see one of the locks being mulliganed. A little bit interesting to me. I guess saving that for later on potentially. Maybe thinking, I need a bit more proactivity if I don't see the early threats coming up. Because that can be the thing, right? If on the side of Killigan on here you don't play things that sort of threaten a lock, and Violet did hold on to both the locks in the hand, it means that the rest of your proactive plays are kind of forced out and maybe inopportune times. The Necromancy coming out for the KO Trolled here. Setup is very important, because whilst we have this decision being made, there are the 2 twins sitting in hand, so you kind of need those to be able to actually get value out of your twins. Okay. Early Keldar, which is quite interesting. I think it's quite important to be able to get a second Griffin Witcher adept through. But it's not vulnerable to being killed with Scare Troll. And here's the problem though. These both have shields right now. There's no Svalbard to try to pop the shields. That does force the Heatwave onto the Keldar. Heatwave could have been used quite a lot of value on something else, like something that Sangreal was used on, something that the maybe even just the Berengar later on. Instead the Heatwave used on just the Keldar, which could have been shut down a lot more efficiently with a KO Troll click. But yeah, no access to the Svalbard. Sitting in deck there, that's going to do that to you. So able to kind of cycle around with the Griffin Witcher adept here. Too bad, does find Damned Sorceress. Nice with this Immortals here as well. Yeah, so target practice quite good with the adept sitting on board. And I wonder what we will see here. This could even be maybe a mentor time if you don't want to keep the Margarita in hand right now. Alternatively, go for maybe secondary Witcher adept. I don't think the Griffin Witcher itself is that great. I guess it can play for 8 points. Okay, it will just kill off this Marauder, sure. And if we look at the deck here, we do see there is a Spores. You do need to be a little careful of going too tall on one unit here on the side of Violet. But we know the Spores is not in hand, so Sangreal potentially can be a little bit less careful. But the Sangreal is also very nice on the Griffin Witcher, right? Because we'll get the Purify. The lock will go away, gets an extra bout of 3 damage. Lock itself at the end of that turn, and that will disable that infusion from the Sangreal. Yeah, Griffin Witcher, quite resistant to getting drunk. Must be all those Witcher mutations pumping through that bloodstream.
Can I come down now?
Adapt's just gonna keep adapting. That's actually good. Getting more shields through and setting the power a little bit higher.
What can I do for you?
And yeah, here actually is the Margarita that's not actually used because I guess not worried about potentially a immediate K-Troll because the Dwims don't give Zeal.
Traveling is
Not,
an
I guess,
option.
worried, I guess, with the Sigdrifer's right onto Canute. Probably would rather just lock the Canute in that kind of situation.
Retrieve the bolt. I know. I'm on it.
With the Dwim coming through, decides, you know, maybe I should actually deal with this Olgierd so the K-Troll doesn't get any more value off of that card. It will now be resorting to the Jericho Turtle instead. See, that Sangreal played for like 15 points onto that 5 pro unit. Very, very efficient usage. Says Draco Turtle. Not bad getting that armor through. And this additional Dwim will help get a little bit of value. This Immortal's looking quite sad with no way to remove its shield. Saying it doesn't really matter if I just play a 6-point unit here. I'll let you have the round. And I think this is quite powerful because I don't see a way. Actually, you could use verification and full leader. That should do the trick here. That should do the trick. I mean, yeah, I suppose how much do you value this leader going into the next round? Would you rather have the leader or an extra card in hand? And as soon as we see the Dwim or the verification being played, we'll know what decision was taken. Okay,
Travel makes one more.
decides to just go for the Dwim here. Yeah, and here's the thing, because the Dwim would have been a lot of points in and of itself. But yeah, without the Zeal being given, does force the additional verification out. It's not a 2-0, but it does result in Polygon being down a card here. Needs to make that up in this short round. I'm not sure how great the King Rogner will be, with quite a low number of chances to give shields over. And yeah, with that, it does end up being a forfeit. Could also just take the self wound on a blue coin here. I think that would be a worse matchup into the Aristocrats. So, okay, it is the Aristocrats up against the Maddock.
Will you learn from that?
We get to see Maddock.
Are you
I'm so
capable?
happy. My life is complete. Kingslayer is found early. That's the thing with this deck. Okay, they run the Curse Scroll for the consistency. Disgusting. But yeah, I guess if you have the point sum, you don't need the additional points that another strategy would provide. And yeah, with no Decree and Roderick being your main sort of good tutor, it makes sense to run the Curse Scroll. Because yes, you're running War Council, but like that's really not a good tutor. I don't want to hear it. And you know what would be a really Chad move for Kergadon to take? Would be to use a Self-Northern Wind onto the Joachim. Because that would mean that the Cantarella and stuff are all useless. On the other hand, what Violet can do is you can use the Gothic Evade along with the Cantarella to steal one of the Maddox as well. I think that's probably sort of the correct play to take. You'd want to go for the earlier Gothic Evade, so you're able to set up that Cantarella play. But here's the problem with taking Maddox on blue coin. Because this deck really just doesn't have that proactivity and you have to discard a bomb on blue coin. Yikes. Yeah, I think we might have even seen the Illusionist being mulliganed that round 1, which I would say you should have kept that rather than end up discarding a bomb. Yeah, like I guess ideally Phoenix is your only good play turn 1 in this kind of situation. It does not cut the mustard, does it? And if I reversed what we saw in the game 1 here, Violet has an Arbor Pac-Man in hand, but no Thirsty Dane to follow up on that Bleeding Provider. So, not even able to, I think, threaten stronger engines in round 1. Maddox really not good. Poison targets either, so those fangs are not looking likely. No lock in hand, it's a bit rough. Just the misery. It's fine. Just wholesome point slam is probably kind of the best kind of thing you could do here, I'd say. The immediate Kingslayer coming down, and when you have the 2 Maddox, you may as well click whenever you get a good chance to, because you can very well just end up with too much Cataclysm. The back row crew means this upper Pac-Man will be able to get a little bit of armor together here. Just fall on the wayside with the Northern Wind. Yes, I wonder why we're not playing Cantarella first turn, Victor. Yeah. Yeah, no courage at all. Yeah, I will be interested to see when the Gothic Evade actually is played, and whether Violet actually does go for that kind of play with the Cantarella that I mentioned. First scroll being used to draw into that War Council. What are we going to put back? Is it the Salmon? Or is it the Slave Drive, which comes next? Is the Salmon. There's no more bombs in hand. Although I guess War Council can quite easily find a bomb anyways. But it is just the pass coming up from Violet to go into the round 3. Murdoch again going to have to play proactive. Yeah, with the Cantarella shenanigans, potential imposter onto a Phoenix. And Joachim being quite good in a short round. That can be a surprising amount of shenanigans that the aristocrats can do to get their own carryover or to deny carryover. And the reason I would have liked to see the Gothic Evade here is because it would have forced an awkward first turn where Kilgannon would have had to pull a Maddox out immediately. Now, probably the correct play in that case, if the Gothic Evade was sitting on board, would be to play the Sappers onto a Dancing Star. With no target, the Dancing Star doesn't force you to do self-damage, because it forces an enemy unit to be the target. But it still counts as playing a bomb, which would let you bring your Maddox back out and play around the Gothic Evade. So maybe that is why we don't see the round 1 Gortho. Instead, it probably will come out sometime. Illusionist, kind of scary here actually. Of a Pikeman, yes, it's only 1 power, but the only damage that I think Violet realistically has is in the form of this Mage Infiltrator, which is missing at the moment. looks like the Rosa
Why bother with
are able to sort of deny the flanking.
one?
But doesn't have a good target right now. And I don't really know what the Rosa would want to target either. Probably Vigo would be the best target. But I don't expect that to be played really anytime soon. It's not easy to kill this in one turn. You could lock it if you wanted, I suppose. And the other thing is that there's no Purify in Violet's list here, so any lock that you use your leader for is guaranteed to find that value. This is a slightly awkward war council, but luckily the Illusionist does give you those soldier tags. It'll likely just be a slave driver onto Illusionist to get us a second upper pikeman. And it looks like the Madoc list is somehow doing statuses better than Violet. Trash Panda the Night, thank you for the follow. Hope you're enjoying this World Cup cast. Yeah, I think I know someone who isn't having a good time here, and that will be the Rosen Edna. As gets bled out by the pikemen, imprisoned by the imprisonment leader, that lock with no Purify available, it's just not going to find a whole lot of value here. Roderick comes out to shut down the second through on the pikeman. Doesn't go for the Emir, instead we see the Masquerade Ball coming out. This is interesting. I wonder what Kilganon will deem more threatening. I think it might be more correct to just kill the Dame if you're able to here. But with the Ard Fiend finding a good target, boosting the Dame up to 6, I don't think you'll really be able to get rid of the Dame just through bombs. Like, if you really want to be aggressive here, you could heat wave the ball, lock the Dame. Or instead you can just say, that you know, that's fine by me. You've used Rosa, you've used your ball. You need to go catch up here. You need to do 8 points, and that's not necessarily easy. Because like, say, a Fang wouldn't do it here. Sure, you could play an Aristocrat, but that Aristocrat is probably a bit more of a valuable card than some of the other things in your hand. But it might just have to be the second Dame being played. That might be considered the least valuable unit. And actually, the other thing that you need to be careful of is that the Philippe is actually really scary in this matchup. Because it can apply Doomed. I did forget, Philippe is a Doom giver. The double Madoc actually won't live for very long, I think. Instead, you'll just have the bombs with the Sappers. But I don't think the Madocs will be getting a whole lot of value once the locks and the Doomed come through. Especially the Servant to copy the statuses. Nausicaa's not bad if you just want some point slam. Nice pull finding the Emir. But his only target is a Van Morhem Hunter, and the drawing is quite inconsistent. Hey Kung Fu, yeah, I'm happy seeing the Madoc. And yeah, for anyone who is watching this from Kungfoorabbit's YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to Kung Fu so you're able to catch all the future tournament games as well, both in the World Cup and in Gwent Masters. Oh. YOLO Mentor finding the value. Top card being the Phoenix, not found. So yeah, unfortunately missing that resilience, but maybe you wouldn't have minded not playing that early, because that does kind of play into the imposter leader anyways. And yeah, The Maddox list also doesn't have any purifies. I don't think they even have a purified bomb in this deck. I think it's just double Northern Wind.
Stop your yapping and
So once the Maddox get... Oh no, there is one, but it is sitting in deck still. Once the Maddox get locked, at least in the current sort of hand state, that will be it. Was the Dame put to the bottom? Or was the Servant put to the bottom? Okay, Dame was put to the bottom of the deck. Actually, with the Joachim, and with how many times you're potentially able to play Joachim, you might be able to sequence perfectly if you cook the Odd Fiend enough times. Use the Emir to draw into the Servant, I guess. That kind of de facto moves the Dame up one card, helps you get it quicker with the Joachim. There's one lock on smaller Maddox. Vega coming up, misses a Slave Driver, but it will likely just be a Sapper for a bomb here.
What is truth if not an illusion?
Okay, never mind. It's actually Illusionist for an Arbor Pikeman. Thinks that this engine will provide more value than potentially playing a Sapwood instead, which I can potentially see it. There's not that many chances to play the bomb. The Arbor Pikeman would be a more consistent engine. Joachim number 1 comes out, does find the Servant. I mean, Violet knew was going to happen with the Odd Fiend being clicked. Looks the Vigo, and we see the leader on the Pikeman does able to get that crew through. And yeah, that's going to be a bit of a difficult unit to deal with, that 9 power Pikeman. I think this is starting to look very, very good for the aristocrats here. See a Supper being used for the Dancing Star, trying to knock this Arbor Pikeman down a little bit, but the Maddox goes to the wrong row to try to get some Cataclysm next turns. Note that there's no soldier in hand, so Ramon is not a good coup. Yeah, the Arbor Pikeman was not played from hand for Violet. It was spawned through the leader after Killiganon used an Illusionist. It's a bit like a game of Arbor Pikeman Hot Potato. And now we see, well, this one did come from Violet's deck, courtesy of the Joachim. There is a lot of bleeding now that is going to be coming through. And I'm a bit sad Killiganon did not take that line I mentioned at the start of going with the Northern Wind onto the Joachim to try and shut down that Cantarella. I thought that would have been very fun. I don't know if it's the correct line. It unironically might be, because you're able to make the Cantarella a whole lot worse. Like, there's not much good stuff to play from the graveyard here otherwise. Instead we see one Pikeman being finished off there with the Sapper into the Northern Wind. Maddox coming back, and draws into the Roderick with no golds in deck to play. That Roderick is a very, very bad pull. And it's probably just the starting to screw the nails into the coffin here for Killiganon, I'd say. Hey Xanthiax. It's unfortunate. I did get nerfed. But in a few months I'll be buffed again. So it'll be fine. And yeah, for a lock, decides that Violet's had enough time entertaining these Maddox. Now they should all just get locked down. And these 1 power sappers, not long for this world. It's getting bled out. Not that it really matters, there's no more bombs in the hand here for Killer Ganon. Then we see the Phoenix coming through. Yeah, it has vitality. It's ticking. It's also your primary poison target for Violet right now though. So I don't think it makes a difference playing it now rather than later. In fact, I probably would have rather you'd play Nausicaa earlier. Maybe play the Phoenix in the following turn, because it still would have gotten the max value out of its vitality. And yes. Yeah, Matt. We have Phoenix is some great carryover for round 4. If only Phoenix could stay around for the next game in the series. Instead, it's just a poison coming through from Philippe. Vitality being an additional status on the Phoenix makes it easier for the fleet to get those poisons through. Second leader does get used up by Kelganon onto that Philippe. Now. This interesting. You get a haircut as well soon, Xanthiax. It's a necessity which has good parts and bad parts. Yeah, Liquid 90k. We likely will be seeing the Cantarella into a 3rd Joachim in this round. I don't think there's a rush to go for that. If you look at the options, okay, it is a Dame. Maybe it might have been better to get the Dame down earlier if you were going to find it. But it also might be trying to take a few more turns on the Odd Fiend to set up what the Joachim from Cantarella would be pulling. Here's the Illusionist, solid 8 for 4, sporting a 5 prop engine at full power. And this Amir can just start stealing units as well. There's this 1 power Illusionist that can get stolen, 1 power Amon which can get stolen. Cantarella denying the crew on the other pikeman does get the Joachim onto another scrap. This is probably a lot better than that Dame, because it's able to benefit from having all these spine units set up from the Odd Fiend earlier, and also I guess the Amir because he's stuck around every unit that was played from then on out. And yes, that does mean that Violet takes the game there with a huge value on the Joachim there. But it is actually the self-wound instead. So Mulligan on the Rock Barrage, obviously you don't want that because that should be coming out through your Frenzied Dow. Let's find the Curse of Corruption and the Heat Wave both in hand here for Violet. Those Toll Punishers are very, very good here up against Self-Wound. Yeah, Fiddler, I would be dying if I had the heating on right now. Different continents for sure. The Dwarven Chariot is a nice little bit of proactivity. Can help spread the armor, which shouldn't matter too much here, but it's nice to have. It's like neither player deciding to click the vial. I guess they already know what their opponent's decks are, but it's always fun to click vial, isn't it? If you have a green button on your board, you really should click it always, right? This is actually the Maxi coming down on the second turn here. Frenzy Dow and the Mahakam Pass towards the top of the deck. Simulus would be found in the round 3. Backup Plan and Capture Saboteur, not terrible draws either. Only real downside I'd say is Skrill is a bit low. and the Dwarven Chariot a bit low as well. There's actually 2 Rock Barrages in this deck. I think Kelaganon Square was only running 1 Rock Barrage. I think that's a little bit of a difference.
No magic can. Redeeming on the ships like a fish out of water.
That nice little synergy between the Terror Crew Plunderer and the Drakar does enable a Kelaganon to almost catch up in points here. Of course, the stratagem is sitting on board and it hasn't quite been clicked. Decides it's probably the turn to get my skirmisher down. The rest of my hand is a little bit more awkward. You might just want to maybe play skirmisher, circle life, and get out of the round here for Violet. Yeah, the skirmisher dies to a cutting slash, but I think you got to be relatively happy with that trade, Violet. You definitely end up on the better side of exchange. Here, there's Circle of Life. Ends up boosting the Shrew up to 5.
Never seen a lass wield
I
a
think
blade
that's
before.
fine, potentially. Can help you kill a Canute, potentially. And depends on sort of where Sig, Vul, Draco Turtle, and Olgierd are getting up to. Could get it to 10 with a Mahagam Pass click, and that would enable you to kill an Olgierd. There's actually the second Terror Crew Plunderer being returned by the backup plan here. 10-point deficit, but Kelaganon unable to catch up. It starts to get slightly dicey for Violet. The only card I think you'd really be happy playing here would be the Aneromancy. We see the Aneromancy onto the Frenzied Dow, coming out with the 6 damage onto the Terror Crew Plunderer. Milva goes back into the deck, and now it's 11-point deficit for Kelaganon. I mean, we could do it, I guess, if you went for an early commit on your Canute. That doesn't seem amazing to me. Olgierd is a 10-point body, but you don't really want to commit it in a round where you don't have much else to use with it. If you value the round control, you could just play out a Drakar, and then if the pass comes out, you could play your Olgierd. I think that's a fine play to make. What you can do as the Red Queen players, you can kind of just force your opponent to get into an awkward spot like this, where they either have to play a card a lot more valuable than they would like to at the moment, or just force them to pass because they don't want to play anything. You see the second case coming out here. Kelaganon does take the round. They do have to spend their own Canute, however. What a Canute turn-off events. Hey Pimp. And it's a bit interesting that you decide to show up right as the Armored Drakars, these ships are coming into play as well. Goes to the long round. That makes sense for you to maximize your Svarblood value. Probably one of your, I guess, win conditions. Problem with the long round is you potentially give Shiru more value as well. Shiru can be used to try to deal with a lot of Bear Abominations. But at 5 power, I don't know if it's really going to be doing that much Bear Abomination hunting. We'll see. In terms of what to play on the dry pass here, it's a bit interesting. You could play the Mahakam Pass. The fact that you're getting 4 additional armor against a deck that does decent bits of sort of damage. You might value this deploy more than the backup plan itself. Especially with the Canute in Graveyard, you might have wanted to otherwise save a backup plan to try to kill a Canute, but yeah, just not as much in this case. I'm not sure, Crash. We'll see. And hey, Big Bal, I hope you're doing well. Okay, round 3. Early Dwarven Chariot. That ends up being the inhumanity of choice. Because Simla sucks right now. What happened Mulligan-wise? How did Violet end up with this? Okay, that's gonna be a lot harder to set up. That's yeah, that's gonna be a lot slower than being able to play your workshops with the Simless. Okay, see the immediate heat wave coming down onto the Troll. Not a bad read there for Violet, because it does make this Dwim on hand here for Kilganon quite sad. Yeah, Dwim has no locations to target, so her magic I'm just gonna fizzle. It's actually not a bad roll, however. With the bleeding coming through onto the Dwarven Chariot, Violet is forced to protect it here. Unless the chariot somehow succumbs to bleeding as a machine. I don't know how that works. Maybe the Dwarven operators are the ones that are dying to the bleeding. Interesting pulls here from the Back and Pass. Goes for the shielded Beaver's Muscle rather than Dwarven Mercenary. Because with the one non-dwarf of Shiru, it would have been one more power, but it wouldn't have had shield or something like that. I don't know. Hey Kayui, how you doing? Good luck for your game. Still a little bit of time. Best of luck for that. IT all geared comes down, but it isn't good, really. There's no Canute, because Sigdrief is right, is sitting in deck, as you hear. Also, Svalbard is just missing. This is actually looking really, really rough. And yeah, with the K-Trolled heat waved, there's not many ways to get value out of your Draco Turtle, All-Geared Sigvald. You don't have ways to deal damage to yourself. Totem is sort of the only enabler alongside the Martyrum. However, they can still play for decent points, I suppose. With the Spores and the Heat Wave, the Workshopped and Niskrama combo can be shut down to a decent degree. And especially since Violet is being forced to actually play out these workshops one by one, it means that Violet's board has been developed a whole lot slower. And wait, what did the Martyrum actually kill that? Was it a Skirmisher? Yeah, okay, it was an offensive Martyrum to kill that Skirmisher. Maybe a little bit worried about potential setup that the Chiru could have provided. Here's the other thing though. Curse Corruption is in Violet's hand, but Kelegonon has last say. And with the Martyrum being used there, Kelegonon really doesn't have to go that tall. If we see this workshop coming out now, could force a bad Curse of Corruption, which is why you see the curse being used now. That is all the Tor Punishers gone. If Kelegonon wants, they could get quite a lot of value by playing out, say, Draco Turtle here and starting to use the what's it called? Svalbard Totem, potentially. Problem is, you would be playing into Weithno is a Shiro of 5. Ordinarily, a Shiro of 3 wouldn't have as easy of a time. Actually, it would still kill a Draco Turtle at 8 if you're able to use the Hack and Pass for the 5 boost. Although, of course, you have your leader, which can give you a bit of granularity.
maybe you click your totem, use a leader charge, get the Draco Turtle up to 9, and that should be a little bit more difficult for the Draco Turtle to be killed off by the Shiru. And Draco Turtle is weird to set up with a Milva and a leader offensively damage-wise. Will we see the play around the Shiru at 8? I think it would be best to just do one click on the Draco Turtle and put it there. We see 1, we see 2, we see 3. Okay. I mean, that looks like as good a Shiru as any, right? A 22-point Shiru. And even if the Shiru didn't get that 2 boost from the Circle of Life, this still wouldn't be the correct play because of the 5 boost from the Mahakam Pass Tempering. Wait. Well, wait, was one of these at 11? No, but okay, maybe he was scared of going too tall in that case, but no, you could just use the Mahakam Pass and then there's something else. Okay, I'm confused. Please play around the Shiru here. No. Okay. Okay, so even if one of the doors was 11, I mean, you can still offset it with a Mahakam Pass.
Who am I to kill?
So, yeah. I don't know. I think both players were not playing very well around the Shiru here.
I trust no one. Never have.
Okay, maybe... Okay, right. Does that because it's more valuable getting the points of the Milva out? Although I think it would have kind of been equivalent anyways. Might still be enough though to catch up here for Killer Ganon. With efficient Sigvald usage, it's a draw. Okay. It's a draw. Okay. We go again to Rock Barrages. You're fine with one in hand here for Violet, but you don't want the second. Actually gets rid of both of them. Right. Does find a scroll earlier on. Maybe that could help a bit, although with the Sidrufus right being missed for KG, it didn't really make a huge difference. But yeah, generally Skrull is nice in this matchup. Even if you just get rid of an Neuromancy, that is quite a powerful difference maker. Quite similar hand here for Violet. You see the Dwarven Chariot into Maxi being the most likely opening sequencing. No Drakar for Killer Ganon makes it basically impossible to cheaply contest this round. The Priest doesn't really have a great target. Okay, goes with an early Hair Troll. Besides, this game will be going entirely differently with the Hair Troll being played earlier. This means this might also just be a Heatwave check, to be fair. Saying that I know you get the most value Heatwave in Hair Troll, especially since my list runs 2 to Viandras. So if you're gonna Heatwave it, you need to have it in hand right now. And since it does not, this is the chance for Killer Ganon to actually get the K-Troll value. It could very well say be you just play out the Olgid. I think Olgid is quite a good choice here. Play out the Olgid, kill something, set up your Priest on the following turn. Also you can just use your Dwym, because use it while you got it, right? Use it while the K-Troll is still on board. Use it before it's been melted away by a heat wave. That would be the more aggressive play, which if you stun K-Trolled turn 1, round 1, I'd expect the aggressive play to be the more likely choice, and that is what we see.
Surprise.
Immediate click. Gets rid of the Dwarven Chariot. Feels a bit bad cleaning the Chariot after giving up bleeding, but still thinks it's a more valuable card than this Pyrotechnician. Especially because the Pyrotechnician could miss on a click and hit the Olgid, especially with Only 2 units for Keleganon. Yeah, Magic Lantern hasn't been clicked yet, but even accounting for that, it's a 5-point deficit right now for Violet. Your good point slam right now would come in the form of the Frenzied Dow. You have a slower play in the Maxi. You find access to the Heat Wave, but I think this is just a shuffle, right? Mac and Pass, Curse Corruption, and Neomancy all very low in the deck. That's not what you want.
Another little thunderbolt.
Probably putting something down to the bottom. Get interested. Okay. Rock Barrage is a premium. Some players might decide to play with one non-premium to sort of know which one you put to the bottom of Maxi potentially, but that's not the go here. Also, Pyrotechnician hits the old gid. If you've played through Hearts of Wine, you know, yeah, old gid doesn't get hurt a lot if you damage him. Let's just say that. The Skirmisher is a bit more precise in its targeting. Damages the Uncrate Warrior, but dies to a Martyrum. It's a bit interesting to see all these aggressive Martyrums. I would think they're only playing for sort of 4 damage, but maybe the potential reach is the scarier part. 4 points, whereas a defensive Martyrum plays for 6, or potentially more on like a Sigurd or something. See the Priest coming down right now. Wouldn't get ahead in and of itself, which is why the KO Troll gets clicked. Removes another unit from Violet's board. But yeah, and here's the nice thing with the earlier Skirmisher 3 damage. It does give a 1-powered unit for the Milva to use her order on, which wouldn't have existed otherwise. And if the Priest came down sort of before that 3 damage went through, the Rock Barrage would be a lot more awkward to play in this kind of situation. So, not enough to get ahead here with the Terraku Plunderer only playing for 7. Needs a Guarding Slash to get ahead. So, where does this put us now? Troll being committed along with the Dwim and the Olgierd on the side of Keleganon, able to take the round of control however, and I think last say can matter to some degree in this kind of matchup with Toll Punishers flying around. Force Mulligan on the Milva. Workshop Mulligan as well. Simul's actually looking usable right now, potentially. The other side of things, fairly cheap round for Skoya. Use the Frenzied Dow, but that's kind of neither here nor there. Could just be a Squirrel, sure. There's not much point getting rid of the Olgierd, so gets rid of the Priest, because that's, I guess, currently the most valuable Sigrifa's right target. And what's this? Keleganon has actually drawn the Svalbard Totem and the Svalbard himself. So yeah, I say Crash Dragon. Actually drawn those golds. And yeah, with Draco Turtle, with the Sigvald, probably would like the Canute, I'd say. I need the Canute since Chaos Troll isn't even a factor here, does not find the Canute. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, these draws have not been amazing for Keleganon. On the other side of things, how are you looking for Violet? Only gold really missing is the Heat Wave, but there is the Neomancy to get access to that anyways. So, Neomancy might be a myth, but it is a myth that Violet heavily believes in and are able to find their own Neomancy. Early Totem sets up potential Drakkar value for later on. Right now, the Shearer is only at 3 power, hasn't been boosted by a Circle of Life. How do we approach this now? This is just going to be early Sinless, actually. This potentially plays heavily into like a Heatwave or a Spores earlier in the game. But those are really only good options if the Dennis Kramer has been used. Card number 1, putting onto the board. Still doesn't really give Violet a great target for sort of their damagey bronzes like this skirmisher. Like this saboteur. I feel like I'm playing nicely around the saboteur right now. What are we going to do next? We just play a second Drakkar. Kind of the obvious slow play. Just not develop too quickly, let the opponent see what they're going to do. Oh, sorry, it's Violet's turn. Maybe I can pass another Cleaver's Muscle. Yeah, seems to be a real fan of taking the Cleaver's Muscle in this matchup.
Next time it'll be personal.
And as we progress in this round, it might be worthwhile to start, flipping some of these Bear Abominations. Sort of earlier in the round, I guess it didn't matter as much, because with all the armor, the Svalbard would have kind of done more damage to Killigan on his own side of the board. But, I mean, now is probably the perfect time. You get to kill off this skirmisher, pretty efficient. Trigger all your Drakkars, and as you do that, you're able to get a bit off. No, not actually Bloodthirst, because of the skirmisher. Doesn't have armor right now, but you probably want to kill it because the chariot will just give it armor anyways next turn. Hey, Apache, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Yeah, a bit of thinking here. I think the question is, what do you use? Or okay, yeah. It only wants to flip one of the Fanatics, leaves the other one still at 3 power. It is vulnerable to dying to the Saboteur, which probably a good play here for Violet, I'd say. Yeah, you also need to be careful of the potential Shiru Killigan on here. Shiru is at 3, can be boosted up to 6, which could maybe kill a Drakkar and a Svalbard if you set up the Svalbard with the Milv on board. But yeah, also with your own Cleaver's Muscle at 6, that probably isn't the best play. So the Saboteur does get that kill, but now Milva's just on the board here. I don't think there's a rush to get the kill. Because Killigan doesn't really have direct damage right now. Also protecting against the Martyr is a nice, cute little play. Here comes a Sigvald, but not much to use it with. Yeah, the Shear at 7 is not possible. You can't get Shear to 7 with 3 boost and 5 boost. It's that awkward number right in the middle. Yeah, Shear didn't pass his modular arithmetic class on base 3 counting systems. Heatwave might come down onto the Sigvald, because I don't want to deal with that. I know there's a potential second Martyr and potential Knut. I don't want. Sigvald just goes away, and now we see the Draco Turtle out to play. Yeah, and yeah, Killigan feels very safe setting everything to 7, knowing that the Shuru isn't able to get up to that. Yeah, ordinarily you could try to use a Vial to be the 4 boost to get your Shuru up to 7. But of course, with both players running Vial, they already came out. That's not a possibility. Since this Vial, you can't see it. I think it's unsealed now, right? It's been doomed, banished from the game. It's an unsealed Vial. That's a cute little play. Even though they're actually damaging the Draco Turtle to make it the tallest unit, so it's susceptible to that. Curse of Corruption. Because otherwise it would have been a bit of an awkward tie with a lot of units sitting at 7 power. Yeah, I quite like that there. Because it means that now you're freely able to get your Dennis Crammer together. There's a heat wave. I would have liked to see trying to get this Drakkar up to 10 power.
Oh, how lovely it
With
burns.
with like, yeah, early use of leader. Instead it's just going to be, okay, sure, 8 is scarier. Yeah, it would kill both the units, and that is enough for the Squire to take the game. And also Violet takes the series, winning the replay on the draw. Self-wound not finding a lot of value for Kalagan on. For Team France, it's not over yet, not by any means, just still in the top 2 of the group. Just, you know, win the next game, tie it up, you'll be able to stay ahead of China, and you'll be in a decent position. However, if you lose this, well, that would mean that China would overtake you on the standings, Team UK would stay ahead of you, you would fall down to the bottom 2.